You know, deep in the absolute center of your brain, there's this tiny little organ. It's no bigger than a grain of rice. But for centuries, it has completely mystified philosophers and scientists. So today, we're going to unravel the incredible story of that organ, the pineal gland. Way back in the 17th century, the famous philosopher René Descartes gave this gland a title that really stuck: the principal seat of the soul. Seriously, he was convinced he'd found the exact spot where our mind, our spirit, connected to our physical body. So, why this one little gland? Well, for Descartes, it was the perfect candidate. Think about it. Most things in our brain come in pairs, right? We have two hemispheres, we see through two eyes, hear with two ears. But the pineal gland? It was all alone, a single, unique little thing right in the middle of everything. His logic was, you have to admit, pretty elegant. He thought, since we experience the world as one single thought, not two separate ones, the place where all our senses come together must also be a single point. And bingo, it had to be the pineal gland. But there was a bit of a problem. Even back then, anatomists knew he had some key facts wrong. The gland isn't just floating in space like he thought, and it's surrounded by veins, not these special arteries he imagined were pumping animal spirits around to create our thoughts. So this left this huge question mark just hanging in the air for hundreds of years. If it wasn't this mystical meeting place for the mind and body, then what in the world was this strange little gland actually doing? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is just as profound, but in a totally different way. Science has shown us the pineal gland isn't the seat of the soul, but it's something almost as incredible. It's the seat of time. It's basically the master clock for your entire body. It does this by regulating what we call our circadian rhythms. You've probably heard of them. They're the internal 24-hour cycles that are quietly running in the background of pretty much every living thing on Earth. It's the fundamental rhythm of life, all tuned to the rising and setting of the sun. And we're not just talking about sleep here. No way. These rhythms control when you feel hungry, when your body temperature goes up and down, and when all sorts of hormones get released all day long. Just about every part of your body has its own little clock, and they're all synchronized by this one central system. So how does it pull all this off? Well, the pineal gland uses one really powerful tool, a hormone called melatonin. The easiest way to think about it is as the chemical messenger of darkness. It's the signal that floods through your body and tells every single cell, hey, night's here, time to rest and repair. So how does this whole system actually work? It's this fascinating chain reaction that all starts with a little bit of light hitting your eye and ends with your entire body powering down for the night. It's a really beautiful, simple process. So first, light enters your eye. That zaps a signal to the brain's master clock, which then tells the pineal gland, hey, it's daytime, shut down production. And boom, melatonin gets cut off. But when that light disappears, the signal stops. The pineal gland gets the all clear, and it starts releasing melatonin into your bloodstream, which is what makes you feel sleepy. And right here, we're looking at the actual factories. Forget Descartes' idea of animal spirits. These things are called pinealocytes. They are the specific cells that are churning out melatonin. This is that amazing moment where we go from a cool philosophical idea to a real tangible thing we can see. Okay, but what happens when this super precise light-sensitive clock gets broken or just confused? Well, the consequences can be a whole lot bigger than just feeling a little bit tired. And I guarantee we've all felt this. Jet lag is the classic example, right? Your internal clock is completely out of whack with the outside world. But the exact same thing is happening to shift workers, or even to us when we're just staring at our phones and laptops late into the night. That blue light is tricking our pineal gland into thinking it's still daytime, so it holds back the melatonin we need to fall asleep. So, in the short term, the effects are obvious. You feel sleepy, you can't focus, maybe you get a little grumpy. But what happens when that disruption isn't just for a day or two? What happens when it becomes chronic and goes on for months or even years? This is where the research starts to get really, really serious. Reviews of multiple studies have found these clear links between the pineal gland and our mental health. For example, researchers have seen that people with schizophrenia and major depression often have a pineal gland that's smaller than normal, and their melatonin levels are lower or just follow a really abnormal pattern. And the risks don't stop there. When your circadian rhythm is disrupted for a long time, it's linked to a whole laundry list of major health problems. We're talking obesity, diabetes, heart problems, and even a higher risk for some types of cancer. Yeah, messing with our internal clock is definitely serious business. So let's just step back for a second. We've gone on this journey all the way from a 17th century philosophical mystery to the absolute cutting edge of modern biology and health science. This comparison just captures the whole thing perfectly, doesn't it? What was once thought to be the mystical seat of the soul is now understood to be the seat of time, a biological clock that literally connects our own internal world to the daily rhythm of the entire planet. And look at this amazing image. This is a super magnified photo of just one of those melatonin-making cells. We can see the nucleus, that's the N, and the mitochondria, labeled M. Those are the tiny little power plants that fuel the whole operation. This just shows how far we've come, from pure guesswork to actually seeing the machinery of time inside a single cell.
So, in the end, we did it. We solved the mystery. The pineal gland doesn't hold our consciousness, but it does something that you could argue is just as profound. It conducts the entire symphony of our biological life, making sure every single part of us stays in rhythm with the world around us.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a puzzle that stumped the greatest thinkers for centuries turned out to be this incredible piece of biological engineering, what other secrets are just waiting inside our own heads for science to finally find the key?